Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Annalisa from Creative Curious Learning and Living, and welcome to Curiosity Month. All month long during the month of September, I will be posting a video with a Curious George curiosity theme. And those videos will be going up Saturdays. So the reason behind this is because I love Curious George for various reasons, but also this month is Curiosity Month because September 17th is the original date when the first Curious George book was published. So it is a great way to celebrate the stories from Curious George. So in today's video, I am going to be sharing my big Curious George book collection. Now, I said in my last video that growing up, my nickname was Banana because of Annalisa Anna Banana. So somewhere in my life and when I was working at a summer camp, I was also called Banana, and Curious George jumped into that, and monkeys became a thing, and some of these books were even gifted to me because of that, and I picked them up even before I had kids because I just thought they were fun. And once the TV show came out, the books started being more educational with science lessons in it and different things. Now, I just want to say as well, there's so many books out there that are Curious George. I don't even know if you could collect them all. I definitely know that I don't want to, but I picked them up here and there. I picked up a few at Book Outlet, super great deals, and every once in a while I'll find some cute ones at the thrift store that I can bring home to my kids, and I love it. And so yeah, I started collecting these before I had kids, used them in camp ministry, used them in church ministry to teach about God, and that is another video that will be coming this month as well, so stay tuned for that. How to use a Curious George book to talk about God and to teach about God. I also want to say that the library is a great place to find Curious George books. We also use the Hoopla app so we can get books downloaded right to our devices and read them there. We have done that with specific Curious George books if we're looking for a specific topic, and that is a great way to find Curious George books or any book. What I love about Curious George books too is there's books for every age group, for toddlers and up, and there's even a kind of a tabletop one that would be more maybe geared towards adults. But yeah, so the books are sitting off to the side, and there's a lot of them that I have collected for many, many years, and I'm just sharing this with you for fun, to spark curiosity and to spark creativity so that you can maybe grab a few from the library or from the thrift store and bring some curiosity and fun into your homeschool. So I'm just going to grab them. I'm going to show them quickly because there's a lot of them, and I'm not going to go into detail on them too much because you can look into them a little bit more yourself. So let's get started. This is going to be in any particular order. So this is Curious George Neighborhood Friends, and this is a slide and peek book. Super fun. Then I have Curious George in the Snow, Curious George and the Parade, Curious George Goes to a Movie, Curious George and the Puppies, Curious George Goes Camping, and Curious George and the Dump Truck, Curious Baby, Curious George, My First Words at the Zoo, Curious George and the Bunny, Curious George Bigger and Smaller fold-out pages. So this one has fold-out pages throughout the book. Then a Christmas one, Curious George Christmas Carols musical artwork by H.R. Ray. Then this one comes with a metal Curious George gets a metal gift edition, and this one was for my son. Curious George Up, Up and Away, Curious George Goes Bowling, Curious George Chasing Waves, Curious George First Day of School. Curious George makes or finds a friend. Curious George plays mini golf. Happy St. Patrick's Day, Curious George, and this one is with all of the tabs. Curious George visits the zoo. Curious George at the baseball game. Curious George, the surprise gift. Curious George, lost and found. Curious George, tadpole trouble. Curious George's dinosaur discovery. Curious George makes pancakes, and I do have this one in Japanese, so that will be coming as I show you my collection. So, Curious George and the firefighters. Curious George and the pizza. Happy Valentine's Day, Curious George. Curious George's ABCs. Curious George Boxcar Derby. Curious George and Me, a memory book you write and draw yourself with a little help from your friend George. So I've photocopied this and used it in our homeschool. It has memories, places for your favorite things. So that's a fun one. Then I have Happy Easter, Curious George. And Happy Thanksgiving, Curious George. Curious George, Curious About Summer. This one is a tabbed one. Then we have this one, the Curious George Seasons, a Spin the Wheel book. So you spin the wheel inside for more information. Super fun. Then there is this one, Curious George, oh, what do you see with the mirror? A book of mirrors. So it's all mirrors and your kid can look and see. Super, super fun. And then I have the Curious George Before and After, a Lift the Flat book. Then there is Curious George Opposites, Curious George on the Go, and it has a little monkey inside to move around. Unfortunately, my copy is broken, but you can still put him in and you don't even know because he just peeks out. Then I have a bigger version of the Curious George Opposites. And then Curious George Peekaboo. The arms are missing on this, but it's still super cute. And the arms, yeah, I guess they only have one arm, but I thrifted this one, but you still have the interactive pages. And then I got this when my oldest was a baby as a gift, and this used to have a little tab to put on your door, but it is awake and asleep. And then there's a little story on the inside, so it's a soft book. And I've shared this one on my channel a few times, but it is a Count and Clap with Curious George with the interactive puppet element. And then I also have this interactive puppet one, which is Curious George Patty Cake. And then this is another Curious Baby, and this is the counting one with the wooden beads. Then there is Curious George Everyday Shapes, a puzzle playbook, and it has the puzzles in it. I am missing a few, but it is still a great book. They're probably somewhere in my home, and they just pop out like that and go back in. Then we have another tabbed book. This is Happy Halloween, Curious George. Then Curious George, The Dog Show, Curious George Cleans Up. Here is the Japanese version of Curious George and the pancakes. My sister-in-law is from Japan, so once when she went to visit her family, she picked this up for me. So this is a fun one for my collection. I definitely can't read it, but it is just fun to have. Curious George Says Thank You. My Favorite Things, another Curious Baby, and it is a playtime book. Then we have Curious George Goes Fishing, Curious George and the Rocket, Curious George at the Zoo, a touch and feel book, Curious George Tool Time, and this one has a wrench and a hammer that slides in here, and you can interact with it throughout the book. Then I picked this one up recently from Book Outlet, and this is the Curious George's Color 2-in-1 book. High contrast tummy time book, black and white on one side, rainbow colors on the reverse. So it looks like this, and it folds out super long. So this is, I thought this would be a really fun for my little newborn, my 4th baby. And then I have this one. This one is well loved, and this is Curious George the movie, the touch and feel book. Curious George, Are You Curious? Then this one is Curious George Color Fun. And then we have this one. I thrifted this one. Happy Birthday to You, Curious George. And it has the crinkly fabric party hat because that's so fun. All right, and this one is well loved. It's missing the cover, but this is Curious George and the Dump Truck, the shape book. And then another well-loved shape book. This is Curious George, a fire truck. Then a Christmas one. We have Curious George, Christmas Countdown, one of the tabbed books. Then Curious You on the Way. I have a few of these, and this is for graduates. So I want to have 4 of these to eventually give away to my kiddos when they graduate. We are still a ways away from that, but that is my heart. It is to the same rhythm as Oh, the Places You'll Go, but Curious George style. So super, super fun. And yes. All right, another Christmas one. Curious Baby. Curious George, Curious About Christmas, a touch and feel book. Then we have Merry Christmas, Curious George. Then here is another one of those graduation. So this one says for graduates of all ages. That was the hardcover version. This is the soft cover version. Then I have Curious George, a Goodnight book that has the tabs. And then Curious George Builds a Home. Curious George goes to a chocolate factory. Curious George in the Big City. Curious George in the Snow. Curious George Plumber's Helper. Curious George and the Pizza Party. Curious George Rain or Shine. Curious About Weather. Curious George Snowy Day. Curious George Goes to an Ice Cream Shop. The original Curious George, another one of the Curious You on Your Way. So I only really need to pick up one more for all my 4 kiddos over time. And I just got this one from Book Outlet. I'm going to create a unit study around this one about voting. So this is Curious George Votes. Then we have Curious George Apple Harvest, Curious About Curious About Harvest Time and Apples. Curious George Circus Act. Curious George Plants a Seed. Another Curious Baby, My Curious Dreamer, a bedtime book. And this is another Curious Baby one, My First Words at the Farm. I'm going to keep curious and carry a banana. Wisdom from the world of Curious George. So it's just quotes inside from the books, and I'm going to be having this in our morning basket this month. We have a bigger one, The New Adventures of Curious George, and this has a bunch of different ones inside. Then I have this big one, 8 stories with activities and more than 100 stickers, Curious George Storybook Collection. So it has a few of the ones I already have, but it is really fun to have them all in one place. And then this is Curious George Goes to the Hospital. Curious George Learns the Alphabet. Then I have this one in soft cover, but this is the hardcover edition. I believe I got this one as a gift when I worked at summer camp from a friend. So this is Curious George and the Firefighters. Then there is another one of the treasuries, so a treasury of Curious George, and this is what is inside. Then I have this big one. This is Curious George's Neighborhood, a Lift the Flap adventure. So this one has tons of little flaps throughout the story. And then the first book about Curious George. So this was like a prequel to Curious George, and it's called Cecily G and the 9 Monkeys. And it's, I guess, his brothers and sisters, but Curious George became the star and got all of the attention. I'm not really sure, but it is a really fun book. Then I have Curious George Plants a Tree. This is perfect for Earth Day or just learning to be more environmental and plant trees. They also have this on the back. Then we have Curious George Learns to Count from 1 to 100. Then this is the biography of how Curious George came to be, the journey that saved Curious George, the true wartime escape of Margaret and H.A. Ray. This is a really fun one if you want to know the history and how Curious George came to be and the story of the authors. And then Curious George Dictionary. I really need to pull this one out with all of the words in a fun kid style. So then this is Curious George. It is Where is Curious George? A Look and Find book. And then this is a super fun one, Curious George Magnetic Maze book, 6 magnets and 5 mazes. So you get all the magnets and it is a fun game in a book. Then I just thrifted this one from Book Outlet. It's basically like a thrift store online. So this is Curious George, C is for Curious, a touch and feel, lift the flap ABC book. So this one just has all of the interactive pieces, even has a even squeaks at the end, and it is super, super fun. So I have one more Curious George book, and this is huge. So this is literally this big. You are seeing this in real time, and it opens up. So I picked this up at Winners way back when the TV show came out, and I just thought it was so fun. I could not leave it there. It's gigantic. So yeah, that is my Curious George collection of books. I just really like collecting them, and I don't collect them all the time, but over the last 10 years or so, I've picked up a book here and there, and it's fun to pull them out for the kiddos, and I really enjoy reading them myself. So I hope you enjoyed this video, seeing a glimpse into my world of creativity and curiosity. And maybe you want to go ahead and check out your local library for Curious George books, or maybe you have some Curious George books at home and you want to pull them off the shelf and go ahead and read them, or go shopping for some Curious George books. That is fine. But whatever you decide to do, spark curiosity in your homeschool and find joy in each and every day, even when it gets hard. So that is all for today's video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I would love to have you join me here on this journey. I am a homeschool mom to 4. I have a 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 5-month-old. And we are a homeschooling family. And here on my channel, I like to share our homeschool journey, cleaning motivation, sensory bins, home decor, and so much more. So if you like those kind of videos, definitely stick around and subscribe. I have more Curious George, Curiosity themes videos coming over the month of September. So definitely come back for that. And I have cleaning videos throughout the days too. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.